That's completely incorrect. What's happening is this consists purely of an offbeat joke. It's been 35 years since you slept. How could you possibly direct a full-length film in 4 time? And Johnny Depp's life appeals to me because reminds me of a crazy Hollywood screenplay. Would be terrified to be left behind by fame, gripped by substance abuse and wounded by international courtroom drama. One of Broken Dreams' stories is Depp's poisonous union, terrible legal battle, and the family pet is too disturbing to get go of. The story revolves around a man who possessed an abundance of material possessions and eventually lost it through scandalous means. This film has the potential to showcase Johnny Depp's startling tumble and his struggle for existence within an environment that rejected him. Childhood and birth year of 1963 was Johnny Depp's throughout the years that followed in Owensboro, Kentucky, succeeded by a series of ebbs and flows during his formative years. His parents, his marriage greatly influenced his future self. It was common for Depp to talk about his dad, John, casting Christopher Depp as a serene and subdued gentleman. In contrast, his mother, Betty Sue, stood in stark contrast to his father. Conflict and tension pervaded the relationship, served as an ever-present background for Depp, and he and his 3 siblings seldom remained in steadiness and staying still for an extended period of time. Idea that didn't even register with Depp. His loved ones appeared to be stuck in an endless movement when Depp was 15 years old. The parents' marriage was on the brink of collapse. He was a child when his father abandoned the family. When Depp was still a teenager, he was compelled to assume tasks that extend well beyond his authority. Years of domestic existence soon transformed into a terrible experience for Depp and his siblings, turned over to their mother, whose the dark side firmly gripped. Depp discussed the feelings openly, and Betty Sue subjected him to physical violence. With the use of words as weapons, she punched just during there. She cruelly referred to her vulnerabilities. Her kids, for example, she referred to one, the 4 eyes on his sibling, as a result of his spectacles, and she picked on Depp about his visual impairment. Ongoing maltreatment and disorder as he was at home pushed Depp inside, severed ties to the outside world. His parents' divorce made him darker. The mother of Johnny Depp collapsed into a decline, with one suicidal attempt, the very second that Depp spoke, and family's uncle's interference kept on traveling from one location to another, always leaving before Depp has a chance to get along with others, or find a permanent typical schedule. In an interview that followed, Depp exposed the fact that he has resided in more than 40, grew up in households where his mother's violent conduct that accompanies them in all they're set out with everything going on at home. With the music he tossed, Depp was able to flee his way into guitar playing by utilizing an ASA method to isolate one's thoughts and find solace within his own realm. Upon Depp was able to get out of there and begin following his passion for music in the early 1980s. He became a member of a band known. He and the children invested all of their energy into looking for a record deal for them to sign with a cosmetics artist named Allison. And Lori, he met artist based in the City of Angels, and she swiftly fell in love with him for the first time in 1983, tied the knot, and Lori became Depp's favorite rock. In those formative, unsure years, but music had no intention of changing Depp's life. Did it become any easier? The youngsters had a hard time significant, and in the end, the group disbanded. Depp and Lori were faced with mounting bills. When you're having trouble making ends meet, Lori got him hooked up with her friend Nicolas Cage, who was young at the time, not yet achieved stardom, but in his role as nephew, Francis Ford Coppola, he possessed a handful of commendable connections in Hollywood. Witnessing Depp's allure and distinctive appearance, the Cage proposed, "Try acting," Depp says, "if you want to make further funds." Even though Depp was doubtful, Cage was successful in securing him and undergo a casting session with Wes Craven. While filming the horror flick Nightmare on Elm Street, Depp did not behave at all background, yet he grudgingly consented to undertake it out as soon as he entered the test. The adolescent daughter of Craven was there, and had an immediate fondness for it given Depp's charisma and good looks. She chose him as his post was secure just because of his approval of the protagonist's romantic partner, Glenn. For the early part of the film, Depp only played it was for financial gain, but much to his astonishment, he discovered that he had a knack for acting, continued to land, resulting in payments for a few bills, and were launching new opportunities. After a few years had passed, Depp finally had a remarkable achievement while serving in a platoon. Next, 21 Jump Street became famous on television. This catapulted him to stardom, but Depp did not wish to conform to the norm teenage idol. He began to search for positions that piqued his interest, initiatives that was a little off-kilter and had an edge to them. The man's initial major undertaking was the musical comedy Cry Baby, first achieved success but eventually became a cult beloved movies. It was an eccentric, unique, and having been a part of it brought Depp great pride. In the year 1990, Johnny Depp encountered filmmaker Tim Burton, establishing the scene on behalf of one of the most distinctive works as a team on their debut feature picture, in the position that Edward Scissorhands would elevate Depp's star power and solidify Burton's own vision throughout Depp's romance with Winona Ryder, who co-starred with him in the picture. They encountered each other at the Great Balls of Fire, and Depp himself confessed that romance blossomed between them, swiftly in the air, and, before they knew it, they lived in close quarters with Depp, who they were both young and prominent when they proposed and launching into successful professional lives. The media were captivated by Johnny and his Winona. The paparazzi persistently tracked their each step, and Depp's utterly smitten love affair adorned his right shoulder with a tattoo watching the Winona always. Even if their love is fierce, the relentless pressure became too much to bear. Publicity in the media, along with their long work hours, are a burden on their connection. Following 3 years of dating, Depp-Winona put an end to things, and Depp was devastated. And his companions witnessed the absolute how seriously. Tim Burton, who was acquainted with Depp, took it, seeing as this energetic and entertaining man has a shift in his friend's character. Following the Depp is experiencing the pain of a breakup. Changed. The design of his Winona Forever tattoo toe, learned that Winona was also devastated when she had her first genuine heartbreak. She had to. Instead, Depp doubled down on his duties while maintaining his distraction. In 1993, he was a star in Gilbert Grape Consumption with a youthful Leonardo DiCaprio flopped at the box office. Surprise audiences and critics, even when Leonardo DiCaprio made off with feature Johnny Depp's nuanced complex. He was praised for his performance, evident that even when faced with devastating Depp's passion and skill dedicated to his line of work, steadfast the Viper Room, while a sturdy, had a successful acting career and out a windfall of cash. Johnny Depp made the choice rekindle his passion for music, decided to take a risk and get the Viper Room, a renowned Los Angeles nightclub on which there had long been tension for others in the performing arts. Depp regarded it as not merely a company, but a home where the music may transport him, interacting with the audience in real time, while for a period of time, Depp adored the scene, was living the life of my dreams, devoting innumerable composing music on weeknights at his brand new club, amusing oneself while relishing in the wonderful times, reached a devastating end only after purchasing the Viper Room 2 months after. The gifted River Phoenix, who is friends with Depp, brother of Hin Phoenix and a young actor, passed away after collapsing outside the nightclub, narcotics poisoning, over their shared interest and had a passion for performing and singing. Therefore, the tragedy struck Depp when the toxicology report was released that exposed deadly cocaine and morphine levels in. The media wasted little time jumping on River's bandwagon, furiously pursuing the Viper Room and giving it a moniker reminiscent of a hideout for stories about drugs, sex, and death. Began rumors about the prevalence of drug usage at the club, despite Depp's adamant assertion that his was well supervised and devoid of drugs. Nonetheless, his speech failed to quell the whispers, and further individuals came forward stating that Viper Room was known for its drug-related reputation. In following this unfortunate event, Depp resumed performing in the subsequent play the part of Ed Wood in the eccentric biopic directed by Tim Burton, into the life of a famous Hollywood director. Unique and frequently disorganized cinematic style for seeing the film was a nice change of pace from overcast sky that had been looming over him. Collaborating with Burton once more here ignited his love for scuba start, with the one-of-a-kind eccentric position that the film failed to generate substantial revenue at the financial success. Yet it was criticized. The renown of Johnny Depp as a highly adaptable young actor in Hollywood began to gain a reputation for swiftly taking on parts that varied from the likable to the completely bizarre. He was soon almost at the peak of his profession. Even his detractors noticed and gave him a nomination for a Golden Globe, as his roles received further intensified. The mid-1990s were a rapid fire for Depp, while he balanced projects involving well-known names in the field, most famous actors in 3 films in a row, working with legendary Landing Apart and director Jim Jarmusch, appearing beside the renowned Marlon Brando in Dear Juan. Depp portrayed a man named DeMarco in this film, to whom he ascribed the title of world's most beloved partner, a part that prompted charisma and charismatic uniqueness. At this period of Depp's romantic life was front and center, as he started generating headlines with fervor romantic involvement with Kate, an English model. Moss for Depp's career throughout the following 3 years. As his success continued to soar, he became a member of Salma Hayek as Donnie Brasco, furnishing what was widely regarded as the best work of his career. In both, everyone from experts to audiences was astounded by the film's huge success, solidifying Depp's position whilst he was working as an actor. Was eventually engrossed in mossy things. Didn't last long after that. Even though Depp discovering love with a French Vanessa, the performer and actress, mocks that their paths crossed in France, where Depp was filming, and after a year they were glad to have their Depp's first kid, Lily Rose, was born bond that would last for many at the end of the decade. Depp collaborated with the likes of Hollywood A-listers Kevin Christopher Walken, Charlie Thon, and Blanched along with Roman Polanski, although he was poised to soar to new heights in 2003. Johnny Depp landed the part that would evaluate his lasting impact as Jack Sparrow eccentric Rish, the pirate, from Disney's Pirates, all the way to the Caribbean with his erratic techniques and entertaining antics. Sparrow was completely novel to viewers. Both the film and Depp's acting careers took off turned heads with his performance, resulting in his very first Oscar the year after his nomination. Depp's playing the role of Finding Neverland. He received his second Oscar nomination and was once back in demand. He teamed together with Expect Willy Wonka from Tim Burton in Charles in the Chocolate Factory, a position it demonstrated Depp's capacity to assume the charmingly strange not long after. He graced the animated stop-motion upcoming horror flick Corpse Bride, premiering new dimension to his abilities with the sea of variety of roles. Depp demonstrated his versatility, engaging in a wide range of musical activities encountered at the present time. Life seemed to be going smoothly, and the child's career had never been more robust. Health terrifying experience in 2007 for Johnny Depp flipped on its head after his daughter. A severe case of illness struck Lily Rose from renal failure caused by an E. coli infection. Disappointment. Depp was devastated, and each and every one of her hospital visits uncertain about her chances of survival. I was hospitalized for 3 weeks with my child's uncertainty about whether or not she would succeed or fail. He divulged it as the fortunately, through his lowest point. Even though Lily Rose got well, the ordeal altered Depp's life after enduring that fright Depp was hoping to reclaim. He allocated $2 million to the Great Oran Street, Lily Rose's previous hospital them, and although he had always been concerned caring for disadvantaged kids, he went above and above, subsequently making more frequent hospital visits, more so than before. He would disrobe as Captain Young Jack Sparrow and make his life brighter, individuals bringing joy to their lives through his memorable personality. In the meanwhile, as his career progressed, he reconnected alongside Tim Burton for their 6th feature film in conjunction with Sweeney Todd, the demon barber from Fleet Street. Depp assumed the role, a portrayal of a murderous barber with a dark unexpected turn, and the role even demanded that rather than investing in a vocal coach to make his own demonstrations, Depp threw himself into it in order to perfect his voice exertion. Yielded fruit as the film became a commercial success, earning Depp his hat trick of Oscars nomination. But subsequent events in my life shift in 2012 when Johnny Depp and his longtime co-star was Vanessa Paradise's decision to split up. They had been together for 14 years when they had 2 children and a life together. But at the end of the day, they parted ways. This represents a new milestone in Depp's prosecuted for cultural the year 2011. Johnny Depp caused quite a fuss when he discussed his potential Native American heritage. He made reference to heritage in an internal interviews for films. I suppose I do have a few Native Americans at some point in the future. There was a significant amount of an indigenous person. She was either a Cherokee or a Creek growing up. Native Americans, while being of Indian descent, was not convinced, particularly considering that his allegation was unsupported by any proof. The matter became much more contentious when Johnny Depp was cast by Disney as Tono, a Native American protagonist in Boy Scouts of America attempts by Disney to whitewash an individual of color, even though they are among Native Americans, and their disappointment in the belief that Disney inaccurately portraying their heritage on a grand scale, and the reaction was noten thelater that decade. Depp was the lead in marketing their scent, Dior, top lace, where he sported Native American garb. Aroma Sage Swift was the response regarding clothing style, with audiences and journalists pointing out the promotion of indifferent. In the end, Dior yanked the advertisements as a result of the heated controversy. Hello Amber. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp met in 2011, where sparks in the Rum Diary were shot, unexpectedly swooped down between them. Romance while on the red carpet, proven by February 3, 2015, saw their civil wedding ceremony. Ritual, however, following the following year, began to decline as the Heard began to prepare for got a restraining order and got divorced. She claimed that he had committed physical accusations of psychological and verbal abuse. He had been impaired by narcotics, using booze for the majority of relationship. When Depp's story came to light, his difficulties were validated by his physician. Dealing with addiction exposes a protracted struggle, dealing with alcohol, drugs, and his numerous trees to acquire sober. Depp was no stranger to these problems. It all started while he was just starting out as a performer and proprietor of the Viper Inn. The past, he had resorted to drug use in order to overcome his feelings on results his physician made public. There is evidence that Depp was dependent on cocaine, alcohol, and opioids. Depp made several attempts at detoxification, but withdrawal made the fight against the physician even mentioned that when Depp revealed that Heard in an effort to was said to have intervened, compelling him to plead as he faced difficulties with his meds throughout the unpleasant withdrawal process. Money management woes. It may come as a shock, but even a famous actor like Johnny Depp can encounter significant financial difficulties during the period Amber's marriage to him was coming to a close. Problems with Depp's finances were a variety of problems that Depp was said to have made around $650 million as an actor. Although in the end, it appeared to have vanished during 2016 saw him sever relations with his management. Claiming $25 million in legal charges in their favor, Depp asserted that they hadn't settled his tax bill, but proceeded to charge him taxes, which might cost him as much as $150,000 in overdue taxes to the Internal Revenue Service. His somebody in charge had supposedly departed. He would end up with a debt of $40 million. They reached a settlement in the case in an unnamed Rolling Stone interview. Johnny Depp discussed his financial difficulties and the court fighting his former supervisors. They cited his expenditure routines, asserting that he lost $30,000 monthly. After a glass of alcohol, Depp shrugged and claimed had truly spent a disproportionate amount of money. A rumor that became around was that Depp used $3 million to assassinate his companion Ken Ash from Hunter S. Thompson. This one was also explained by Depp. It was really only $5 million. And after he and Vanessa broke up, the news that Paradise Depp had finally spent more than $150 on her, indicating the exact extent to which his life outside of work had also his funds. Official questions of law pertaining to Heard's located throughout during my time in the U.S. She wrote an article discussing how she persevered through physical and emotional abuse, psychological brutality, despite the absence of brought up her spouse on numerous occasions. Once, assumed it was Depp's Sun magazine, asserted that Depp was a domestic abuser, prompting Depp to initiate legal action, but ultimately lost the lawsuit, marking the beginning of his Hollywood career's declines, since Warner Brothers severed links with the musician, even if he has a contract to play the persona of Grinzel in the brand. The Fantastic Beasts family of animals repeated requests while the pair worked through their split, including her wishes for the layout to reside in the flat without paying rent. Couple's ownership. She requested that Depp pay her attorney's expenses and him to complete the purchase of a dark-colored rifle rover, which he had started to obtain as a substitute. Confidentiality regarding there was assured by her matrimony, shielding it from public view. Yet the request persisted beyond that point, as the demands grew over time. As from there, they increased to $4.5 million from $1 million to $7 million, which after what seemed like an eternity, Depp finally paid had already been resolved prior to that. However, for an extended period, in 2018, she wrote an opinion piece for The Washington. The Post started a contentious discourse centered on Depp, and very quickly the case was a demotion of 3 false claims made about him. Initially made a remark in my stance on the Amber Heard, battled sexual assault and confronted our culture's fury that must be transformed the second it left. I shot to fame 2 years ago, depicting family violence and my own psychological distress, the ferocity of our cultural fury, in support of outspoken women. And the final boasted that I have the unique perspective of becoming aware of the ways in which organizations defending males who are alleged to have committed the time that Depp had previously been rejected by all the big studios in Hollywood in response to her allegations. Depp said that he actually endured physical abuse using abusive language and thoughts in their romance. He boldly declared his love for her. The charges brought against him were baseless. The entire ordeal convinced a number of depart from him. Particularly Disney Pirates of the Caribbean did not cast him, where he may earn $22 million, but Heard stayed on large initiatives, including Aquaman and L'Oreal. Applications were filed, requesting that she be disqualified from playing the role of Hera in the DC, signed by millions of people across the petition, but no prompt response was forthcoming. Heard filed a countersuit to Depp's claim, asserting that he was involved in her dismissal through a campaign of harassment, similar to him throughout her initiatives before to their trial for the countersuit filed by Heard, which comprised 3 claims that the late actor Depp had colluded with. During that period, Adam Waldman was his lawyer, published remarks in the Daily Send. The initial statement from her companions in the Waldman, Heard misrepresented sexual assault in the media allegations as a tool for both protection and success. On to the following. We have Heard and her companions destroying a flat and leaking wine and arranging their narratives, with the assistance of a lawyer and PR, thereafter contacting law enforcement. All Heards were accused by Waldman, and the outcome of the abuse rumor involving Depp in relation to Depp's case with the Sun attorneys for the magazine Heard formally sought to dismissal of the case by the courts. In April of 2022, wouldn't permit it. The case of Depp versus Heard started in Virginia. The trial gained widespread media attention. Widespread accusations against Depp during the time that Depp subjected her to acts of domestic violence. Life became unbearable upon his return. Under the influence of drugs and alcohol, Depp produced a number of false claims brought against him during his trial. The situation with tit and tat. As there are, each party leveled charges against the other. While the defendant vehemently disputed, however, there are definitely persuasive proof of maltreatment towards each individual. As part of the UK study, the Heard many eyewitness accounts of Depp's violence, as shown by some of the data comprised correspondence, journals, emails, and along with images of her bruising throughout as a whole, prove beyond a reasonable doubt that allegedly subjected numerous of them to what occurred while Depp was drunk, drinking and drug use. Among the witnesses, one of whom was Heard mate, being present at a situation in Depp threatened to harm her in 2013, went into a fury and destroyed. Theramore has it that Depp allegedly inebriated and mushroom high on a regular basis. According to the witnesses, it was also found in correspondence between Depp and Paul Bethany, his pal, where they dreamed about being a witch and setting fire to a Heard. Depp stated in one of the published pieces that, "Why don't we drown her first and then burn her too?" The fact that on the 25th of March, while Depp was in Australia, the two were sobbing uncontrollably for 3 days, during which he again and again attacked her during the occurrences. At the very end of Depp's toe was taken from the Heard. According to Depp, accidentally hurt his finger while tossing, having a tantrum and pummeling a synthetic wall. Depp but debunked the claim by claiming that she tossed to hurt his finger when a glass bottle shattered on him. Several people had trouble finding common ground allegations of Depp's ire against his portrayal in public as being amiable and pleasant. However, details regarding his encounters with the police officers demonstrated that their views were incorrect. In 1989, Depp faced charges related to attacking a guard following the authorities were summoned to quell a party in his hotel room that Depp finds uncomfortable, confessed to physically attacking the officer and after spitting on his own face. For 5 years, he encountered yet another issue involving the New York City police officers following his destruction. The Mark hotel room he was staying in, imparted to his then-girlfriend Kate Moss, spent nearly $10,000 in penalties for damages, and another occurred during his time as detained after altercation with paparazzi. When they were attempting to photograph him in 1999, he made threats against photographers using a "suddenly, someone came up to him on a wooden plank beyond the Mirabelle Eatery." In answer on allegations of violent abuse in his case, Depp offered exclusive Depp audio made public tapes containing his talk with his ex-wife at the time they were married. Our connection in a single recording. Listen to her talking about striking D. "I'm sorry, it wasn't me who smacked you in the face. And that was more of a slap, but I was actually striking you. I didn't mean to punch you, honey. You're not struck. I am unsure of the motion of it was my real hand, but it's all right. Neither did I strike you. In fact, I was striking you in the recording that Depp gave." Terrified he might be abused and overheard replied by saying she couldn't guarantee that because she lost all control and had to slap him again. Her fury in a video of the event in Australia involved mocks Depp claiming he couldn't possibly win, declaring his victim status to the world. Thus many would never suspect a man of being a victim. A number of Depp's acquaintances and a number of partners claims that all claims made about the Heard were utterly different and was peculiar. Though it's happened before, Livestock has been the subject of allegations during the 2009 incident. She was forcibly removed from her flight following her, accused of physically abusing her partner at the time. Authorities did not pursue any accusations. Had another assistance before. The witness said that the Heard had spit in her expression following a request for a salary increase. Heard, who asserted her intention to contribute the proceeds from her divorce. Donating to charity was never really so, as Depp himself admitted in the after over 8 weeks of trial. The jury reached a verdict after more than 12 hours of deliberation. The jury determined that each of the 3 claims made by Ped Heards were deceitful and damaging to Depp's reputation. Because of this, given a $10 million windfall financial support for the defense of Heard according to the jury's verdict. The initial and additionally, Adam Waldman's claims were not libelous, but Waldman's subsequent claims were shown to have been motivated by animosity and untrue, which led to her being given a settlement of $2 million towards damages, awarding him the Oscar. Depp lauded the committee for acclaim his life. He viewed the triumph as a commemoration for males across who was unable to communicate due to abuse, leaving behind a life of social exclusion, leaving Hollywood behind. Depp settled in the UK and resides there at the moment, as he plans his tour, plays music with his band, and produces feature films, made by independent filmmakers in Europe. Among Johnny Depp's many accomplishments, his tragic drug abuse in childhood as well as marital violence, but Depp refuses to give up on making his own decisions. Fame has been a constant companion of Depp's life, will not be able to alleviate your suffering, battles feelings of isolation and loneliness, would be impossible to resolve successfully in money.